We are
What
now.
up? What up?
2004 DJ.
Yeah. What's that hat?
uh, Association of Golf Merchandisers.
Oh, all right, cool. I was gonna say it kind of looks like a cool logo that like a golf ball sitting on a tee there. So,
Yeah, Garrison gave us a bunch of free hats after you bitched about not liking Richardson after you left.
oh, good. Yeah. Well, I'm looking for some hats for company logos, and this one that I always wear with my John Deere here is just the most comfortable hat I've ever gotten. So I'm leaning towards this one, but I'll try some other stuff. But when you get a hat that really fits your head, it's gold.
Yeah, but remember, you're not buying for your head, you're buying for everybody else's.
Well, I'm gonna wear one too, though. So whatever. And all these hat orders, you got to buy so many of them. So, well, everybody else gets what I like.
There you go. So what's going
Um,
on?
well, what's going on is it's March Madness, baby. Selection Sunday is this weekend.
Yeah, I think Caitlin Cart's going to do really well this year. She's been lifting a lot. No one's talking about her, so it's time to bring it back
uh,
up again.
so speaking of lifting,
Like no clue who's good, who's not. This is the most uninterested I've been in college basketball ever.
I think it's actually really competitive out there. It should be pretty exciting. We've been I've got a client. Well, I don't know if it's going to be a client because I'm not having much luck with their approval. But she's saying, "Well, all these other lenders have approved me." Well, all these other lenders haven't done the research that I just did that says you ain't going to make it. I'm trying to let you know so that you don't put any earnest money on the line and real wishy-washy with these big corporate, national lenders.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I hope she gets the house, but for some reason, I'm not getting very far with it. So, well, that's a whole nother thing. But um, we've watched some TCU stuff this year, guys and girls, and the girls TCU is really good. They're ranked top 10 and everything, so they got a shot to do a little something. The first time ever girls basketball won the Big 12 title. So, but because we watched a couple games, we saw some of the road teams, and the men's aren't going to make the tournament. There's a few good teams out there. We'll see, but yeah, hopefully because I haven't watched that much, I might actually have a chance of doing all right in my bracket.
You probably.
If you watch and really pay attention, then your brackets are toast.
Yeah, you go in with your own ideas.
Yeah. Um,
You gotta go office ladies pick. Just I like blue over purple type
yep.
situation.
It's
It's like
maddening how it
it's like
all how it
you
all
have
works.
Hofstra winning the whole thing. Yeah, I like their uniforms. You
Yeah, so heard him on the radio.
know?
Um, so then I don't know how many years in a row this would be, 3 or 4 maybe for us, but we're gonna do our bracket again.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a little bit more buy. We've gotten more people every year. Every year we don't know
Hmm.
who won it. We have to hunt them down, but
Yeah. If you're one of our 4 listeners and you want to be in our ESPN bracket, we always do a raffle or not a raffle, but a prize for the winner. When you sign up, please don't make your username ESPN 8734529, and then we have no idea who you are.
yeah, make it your
Go
first
ahead
and
and
last name.
put your name in there, or at least message us like, "Yo, this is my username." That would be extremely helpful. We
Yeah.
still have outstanding payment, at least one, because we don't know who won.
Yeah. It's like the gift cards from Academy back in the day. Like it's been 90 days. We take 10% for every month after 90 days. Your $100 gift card is after 2 years, it's like $35. You're like, what? What?
Yeah, sweet.
The
So
holding
anyway,
cost.
it's official. But this year it'll be Clubhouse Lending, Converse Insurance, Bracket Mania, whatever. It's
Truck
on.
Trucktober,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
So we'll get that sent out this week and get some invites and some people interested, and then we'll officially set it out Sunday or Monday.
Sounds
So
good.
what else is going on your side? Woo!
Ooh.
What else is going on your side?
Business wise, I mean, just nothing much, just busy. Things are looking good from a rate perspective, no matter how people want to think about it. Prices are what they are, but the increases are going to be, we're hoping as long as we don't have a major cataclysm in Texas a few times this year, we should be hopefully getting back to just inflation and market adjustments in terms of increases. So like 4 to 8% rather than 40 to 85%. So that's good news. A
Yeah.
lot of people are still getting sticker shock because they maybe didn't see their adjustment until this year. They were kind of late to the party in terms of their carrier changing their rates. Um, but the big thing is my bugaboo for 2025 so far. Do not call me. Do not call your agent and say, "Why did it go up? I haven't done anything different."
Yep.
That would be like asking why is gas more? I didn't drive more last week. Like there, it just is what it is. Was the Joe Dirt? Why does Positrack work on a '93 Plymouth? It just does. Like it's just gonna go up. You can ask me why it went up so much, but don't be like, we haven't changed anything. Why did it go up? Everything else has gone up. You haven't changed anything. You're not eating more eggs. You're not driving more. You're not just burning gas in your backyard. Things just go up. So ask why it's going up so much, not why did it go up.
Yeah, you can ask why I'm having a sneeze attack right now just as soon as we record, but don't ask why insurance is gone.
Yeah, just have the right questions.
Yeah. Um, okay, well, just to kind of keep it short for today, if your rates are doing better, that's great. On the mortgage side, rates are getting better as well. Starting to see things come under 7%. Here comes number four. Hold on. Oh, fake out. Um,
Watch this get the most
so
views ever.
yeah, geez. But rates are coming down pretty much under 7% again. So hang on a second. We got to pause this. I'll cut this part out. I'm dying.
No,
Probably
we're
the
leaving
popcorn.
we're leaving it in, man. You're out here
No
risking your life for
popcorn.
mortgages. The people need to see it.
Yeah, it's
It's
probably
probably
the.
the popcorn you ate.
I knew I should have named that popcorn.
Yeah. It's all that dye and the
Um,
colored popcorn you bought yourself.
Getting stuck in the back of my nose. All right, clap. Bring it back. So mortgage rates are finally, coming back down under 7 a little bit. We've had a couple really good weeks in a row, followed by a not so good day or two, but now back to making some decent gains. So if you're out there and you're looking to refinance, you're going to be getting a million calls from Rocket Mortgage of the world and these call centers. Rocket and Redfin are merging together. We'll have to talk about that in the future as we kind of see how these details unfold a little bit more. I haven't done my research yet.
I saw that
Um,
today.
but the thing about interest rates is like they're coming down. They're working their way down. Don't just refinance to refinance because then, I'm not going to be a loan officer that is calling you to refinance you now and again in December. We're not going to do that. We don't want to keep adding closing costs onto your loan amount. That's not the most amazing strategy. If you really need it, there are probably people who will do that. But for now, if you've been waiting a year, 2 years, 3 years, if you can hang in there and everything's okay with your budget, I would see a little bit more here until we really start pulling the trigger. But we're getting really dangerously close to where I'm going to call some clients and say the savings are legit at this point.
Yeah.
But would love to see not have to refi every year. We don't really, like I said, those are closing costs. They don't go away. There's still fees that have to be paid. And so if you can avoid paying them over and over again, I would like to see that happen. But refinance opportunities are coming. There's way more, just nationally speaking, way more refi volume hitting now. But I'd say hold the line for just a minute
Yeah.
because if you're getting gains each day, let's let those babies add up for 30 days and then take those gains. So, but a lot of people, you're probably if you bought 7.5, almost 8% 2 years ago at the wrong, when it was really high. we're to a point where we can save you some significant money, but make the call yourself. We'll give you all the details. But right now, the experts out there say, keep on floating. So that means that they anticipate the market not getting worse. It's going to keep hopefully getting just a little bit better.
Yeah. So what I'm going to ask you a question. You can try to give me a quick answer. In
Go
your
for it.
world, what's the indicator if unless you're take looking at the market and reading where the rates are day to day. But what's your indicator of an improving market? Is it refis lead to more under contract on new purchases or the other way around? Or is that irrelevant?
And well, here's where I can't really give you the answer short like you want, because what's an improving market? The Dow was down big today again. The Dow and like the stock markets have been way down. But as the stock markets are coming down, the rates are coming down too, which is a good thing. The other thing's a bad thing. So, what's an indicator of a good market? Well, it's all about
Purely for you,
inflation.
not the consumer.
Well, for rates, it's all about inflation. So if we
Hmm.
can keep getting inflation numbers coming down, like the jobs report came out, they're cutting jobs right now. So they're cutting federal jobs with the Doge stuff. There's also right in line or better of just overall job creation expectations. So whenever reports hit what they want, that's a good thing. So the jobs numbers are kind of coming down. Inflation's coming down. So it's kind of funny because in mortgage we almost root for a recession.
Yeah.
You're kind of going against the market. So if you're in a recession, that means there's layoffs happening, there's fewer jobs, things aren't appreciating, so the economy isn't just going through the roof. That's what's going to help. That's why you would have lower interest rates, so that you can then get all those things back: more jobs, more spending, more growth. So we're kind of on the inverse on the mortgage side. So that's why that's a tough question. So right now rates are getting better because the jobs coming down, inflation's coming down, all the other million different data sets that they look at to make their decision are all hitting their targets because overall things are slowing down. The biggest one though is debt, nationally and personal wise.
Hmm.
Consumer resiliency. That's been a really tough one because the Fed's not hitting their numbers that they want to hit because people keep spending money like crazy, like it's going out of style. And so because of that, they're not hitting their numbers. Inflation's staying high because they're spending money at the new prices. So it's like, well, it's not a problem. So that's kind of what has been going on.
Gotcha. Just curious to see because I know what indicators are in our field, both residential and commercial, kind of where you can find the impetus of where everything's kind of starting, what you can look at to be kind of your indicator. If A is going in a certain direction, I can expect B, C, D, E to be going in a certain direction within the next 12 months type thing.
Well, yeah.
Yours
So
is a little bit
that's,
more up and down
but that's
daily.
just, I'm a amateur wannabe economist as a mortgage
Yeah.
broker. And so, like, when you want to keep up with all these numbers, the stock markets are a totally different thing. We follow a couple things because the 10-year treasury and whatever is in the market, as the like THX or whatever the hell it is.
Mhm.
And that goes up and down, but we want that number to come down and then interest rates will get better as well. That's kind of what happened during COVID, and then it went back up. It got over 4, and that's where you got 7% rates. So it's not 1 to 1. It's not like the 10-year Treasury says 4, so our interest rate is 4. It doesn't work like that, but that is an
Yeah.
indicator. Inflation is an indicator. Jobs reports, jobs numbers is an indicator. So there, we have just, it's not A, B, C, D. We have like A through Z a couple times over. How many indicators are that go into making up a mortgage?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I've neglected to kind of acknowledge the fact that yours is tied more economically, and mine is more. Yeah,
Yeah,
mine's not really. It is, but it isn't tied to the global economy
yeah.
type
You got
thing.
like your pool example is perfect. Like we don't have a pool; it doesn't fill and be empty. It
Yeah,
kind of does, but like in that pool is all the different things that are being filled and emptied. So it's a lot of different pools.
yeah, a whole
If
lot.
that works.
It's that like tiered. It's like a creek. It's got to keep filling to go over that next dam type
Yeah,
situation.
and then can we fill the last pool? By the time we fill the last pool, now we can lower rates.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's
Just
a good one.
curious. Yeah. What else is
Yep.
on your mind? You got
Well,
any?
the other thing that I've got written down here is what I've kind of been seeing lately. So the market, you see interest rates come down, and this is the other problem too. It's supply and demand. So rates come down, people are interested again. Now everyone's getting back out into the market. Well, but what that does is more people being interested raises prices of houses. You got two, three people, that's multiple offers. So now your listing price is going at or above, because before you might get a listing price, but you get all these seller concessions. So it's like going under the listing price. Well, if you got two or three people competing, now you're at the listing price with no seller concessions. So it's
Mhm.
not really like, the market taking off, but that means the market is getting hotter. The sellers have to give up a little bit less than they did a couple months back when rates were definitely in the sevens. So they're not out there just actively helping you buy down the rate now to sell their house. So that buyer's market was there for a peekaboo minute, and it's still kind of there in some cases. But if I've seen so many people call, wanting to meet really specific budgets, and that means a purchase price of 250,000 or less. Well, those homes are going fast and getting multiple offers.
Yeah. Like
And
there's
that
a
is that is as entry level as it's going to get, is right around that range, is 250 or less, and then soon the entry level is going to be 250 to 300, and so on and so forth. And so new builds aren't going in under 300K because it costs that much to build that house
well,
in a lot of cases.
they tell you that, but I know what it costs to build.
Yeah, less than 200K.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you said like it's going to trickle up, right? Anything under 300 is probably going to be multiple offer. You're going to see it's going to be like ants coming out of a fire hill to get to that house.
Yeah.
Because behind us, so behind this camera, diagonally, there's a house for sale that I think it was renters before, and now they polished a turd and are selling it. I have no idea what it's selling for. I'm pretty sure it's under 300,000. I actually hope it's like right at 300,000 because it's going to help us out. But the last 3 to 4 days, I mean, it's 6 to 10 people in and out of that house throughout the day. They had
So
an open house. They had an
dropping
open
off
house, and
business cards.
you would have thought no, I don't want to insure that house. Uh, you would have thought they were giving away free food or like a garage sale or something one night because there was just cars up and down the street to look at this house. Um,
It's the
it's
price
like
point.
yeah, they smell under three or right at three, and they're like,
Gotta have it.
yeah, it's the golden goose situation or whatever. I don't even know if that makes sense, but diamond in
Yeah,
the
I mean
rough, you know.
it's the right pocket for a lot of budgets. So I've seen some stats, and I'm trying to do better about getting more stuff out, but it's so hard for me to keep up with everything in one day. I need a marketing intern or expert or whatever you want to call them. But there's so many stats out there that shows you appreciation, and just I did post some of that. Like over the last 83 years, it pretty much always appreciates in the housing market. So
Mm,
that's why you're never getting that $30,000 house like your grandpa bought after the war.
yeah,
And
or
so,
the $8,500 house you can buy from Dillard's that you see in the newspaper clippings back in the day.
yeah, yeah, Montgomery Wards. And so, but what happened is over all that time, housing has spiked almost straight up, right? Just keeps doubling. And, but overall household income has not.
Mm,
So that's where a lot of the inflation stuff starts to enter that world. And so this 300, 250 and under range fits the income. The area median income of Tarrant County is like $82,000 a year for a
yeah,
household. For a
yeah,
household. So that means you got two people that have student loans, car payment, maybe a couple credit cards, and a degree and a job that pays them $40,000 a year as entry level coming out of school or whatever. Two times two, and it's really hard to qualify for a mortgage at those entry level numbers that you might see on ZipRecruiter or whatever when you're looking at stuff. So that's the biggest issue, is that everybody is fitting into these pockets because those numbers are the best for their budgets. Not everyone can just stroll out to what is a new starter home at 450,000 that gets you everything you like, 2,000 square feet to maybe a third car garage, an actual yard, um,
Yeah.
a separate bathroom. Like that's starting to sneak up over 400 to ask for all that stuff. So it's a budget thing that we're really dealing with.
Yeah, it's interesting. Something I thought of just listening to you talk right then is obviously people they're gonna shop within their budget within reason, right? Obviously, there's gonna be some people that really aren't shopping within their budget, but nobody, at least what I notice, is nobody's in uproar. Nobody's super pissed off that the new starter home is 450,000,
No, because of what you just said a minute ago. It helps all the neighbors' values.
right? But nobody's pissed about it, right? But everyone's pissed that insurance has gone up $1,000.
And no
And
one's
it's
pissed that credit cards are now almost 30% interest when you
30%
get a new one.
APR. It's just weird what you get upset about. It's like you know, insurance going up over the past 20 years, 120%. Houses, somebody buys a house. Let me use an example. We have some family friends that moved from DC. They bought a house out kind of in the country, like not Brock, Godly area. They moved a little bit into town, into Fort Worth, kind of the Overton Park area. They bought the house. You can look on record. It was bought for like I think just at 800,000. Her job's calling her back to DC. So they moved. They haven't even been there a full year. The house is listed for 975.
Is
They
it
did,
listed?
I think they did a little bit of work. They resurfaced the pool. They maybe did some paint, but not $200,000 worth of work.
Well, and people know that. Like
And
people can
it's,
see that.
yeah, but that's like such a like common sense says there's nothing that would have made that house jump up 200,000.
Well, and common sense is winning right now. So those
Yeah.
types of things, if you're asking too much, that house does not sell. You might see a realtor change after 6 months of it sitting there without any offers. Like,
I think they'll sell sadly because most of the houses in that neighborhood at that size are selling for over 1 million.
well, then there you go. They got a good deal on the front end.
Yeah, but it's just the thought process behind that is ridiculous, right? Like if I went and bought this mouse yesterday for $15 and then in 6 months I was like, you know what? I'm gonna upgrade. I want a different mouse. I couldn't
Supply.
sell it again.
No one gives a shit about that mouse though. But supply and demand. And Overton is a popular area in Fort
True.
Worth.
True, but I get
It's
so that's
demand.
where I'll tie it back into insurance. Insurance somewhat is supply and demand. If the companies want risk in that area, insurance is cheaper. They need more people to bring their bucket and fill up that pool. But if there is no demand for risk in that area, they have too much, prices get higher. So it's the same thing. If you're buying in areas that are oversaturated
Yeah.
or expensive, hard to get into, uh,
Well, and on our side, it's supply and demand runs the economy. That's just
yeah,
all these things are supply and demand. But the problem is everything that consumer resiliency, the demand, even though the supply has gotten thinner, the prices have gotten higher, the demand has stayed steady. So everything just rises.
yeah. And I would argue that resiliency needs to be changed. I won't say the word it needs to be changed to in that metric, but
How about consumer greed, consumer stupidity?
that because like resiliency, like, people are spending money, but it's like, okay, well, like they're spending money, but they're in
So,
$30,000 in credit card debt. Like, is
all
that
right.
real
So
money?
this brings me to my final thoughts for today is deferred maintenance. So consumer resiliency has been a thing and it's
Mhm.
been toying with a lot of the different factors, and we have more credit card debt than ever. The national debt is crazy high, all that kind of stuff. But yet we have all these homes that no one is spending money on and actually keeping up to date. So I have a lot of buyers, everybody out there, real estate world and DFW can probably share this. There's new builds, and then all there's a really good pocket of homes that are great, Overton, all these other kind of areas people might have heard about and want to target. and you go there and they don't sit on the market. When they're up for sale, they sell and there's no issues. And then the other third of the market is really good potential. People have been in their homes forever, family style stuff, resale, good lots, better bones than these new construction homes. You
Hmm.
get more stuff, but yet they have 3% interest rate that they refi to, they'll never leave or whatever. Then they finally do have to sell. They don't have, they have a ton of equity, but you get in there and they go under contract with a buyer. The buyer goes in there and the inspector has just a litany of things on this list that scares the buyers off. And a lot of these things are big items. So because they have the low interest rate, they have payment. Well, they gotten used to spending money in other places and buying other things, and they've got a bad roof and they've got foundation issues that they've ignored, and they had a leak and they're like, "Now, whatever, it's not that big of a deal." And all these things have been adding up. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff adding up in the market to where deferred maintenance is a real problem and could affect some sales. I had a buyer walk away this weekend because they didn't like the repairs that were done. Or another buyer right now, it's like we actually during the inspection we found out a lot more stuff in here than we thought than was disclosed by the seller. Seller's disclosures are hardly worth the paper they're written on half the time,
They're terrible.
especially if it's a flipper. Don't know, don't know, don't know. And so I'm thinking that's a real problem too. Is you got all this debt out there, but none of that spending is going towards upgrading these homes, and so you're getting homes that are. This was the same thing that I saw in San Diego and Southern California when I lived out there. So I see so many parallels to that market to here now. It's insane, and it's kind of scary because we love Fort Worth, and we don't necessarily want it to turn into something else. We want it just to be an upgraded version of Fort Worth. Well, is that happening or not? Elections May 3rd for city council and mayor and school board and all the local positions that really matter. That's happening in May. And so all that kind of stuff is a real, it's in a little turmoil, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a twofold issue, right? Because some things that are deferred maintenance that scare a buyer off, it's like, dude, you're
But it's
that's not
not
a
even
reason.
about it's not about that. It's more about the consumer spending resiliency thing. They have all this equity in their home. They got a low interest rate and a pretty decent payment. They've got all this credit card debt that they've been out spending. They got a $70,000 pickup and a Mercedes in the car, and they got a roof that's basically going to cave in.
Yeah,
We, we're
it
not
was
we're not spending things well. We're spending things for play a lot.
yeah, driving obviously we had the storms roll through on Tuesday, but driving around the next day and seeing all the roofs that the wind just like peeled shingles off like they were band-aids was comical because like I'm looking at it, I'm looking at Alex and I said that I don't have any sympathy for some of these people with their roofs blown off because that's deferred maintenance. Like
There you go. It
that
comes
that roof
back
is
around.
15 years old. It's not going to hold against 120-mile-an-hour straight line winds that we had on Tuesday. Like that's just not going to happen. They're like, well, it's a 30-year shingle. I was like, no, if you don't touch it, it'll last you 30 years by the manufacturer's guarantee. But this thing's getting pelted with wind, hail,
Yeah, but
animals.
when you go after that manufacturer's guarantee, you say it's because of wind. You're like, oh, well, that's an act of God. We don't insure that.
Well, manufacturer's different than the insurer.
But they'll say that.
But it's just deferred maintenance is, like you said, it's a big problem. It is a huge problem. And I think one thing rather than the NAR bullshit, I'll say it, the NAR bullshit that the realtors had to go through.
And
A
everyone's
little
struggling with that.
a
No
little
one
bit
knows
of
how to
it
write their commission in a contract.
a little bit of it is their own fault, but the amount of times I talk to a seller's agent to ask a question about the home,
They
is it
don't
not in
know.
they go, is it not in the seller's disclosure? No, that's why I'm calling you. Because all you wrote in the seller's disclosure was close to schools, new paint, beautiful open concept, multiple offers, best and final by 5 p.m. There's nothing about the house. I can look at photos. You don't, what are you writing this for? I know how to read a map and look at photos. Tell me, how old's the electrical? Has the plumbing been updated? Did they do any foundation work? How old's the roof? When was it last replaced? Did they
Is
add
there
new
a is
switches?
there a Union Pacific electrical box?
Tell me the things I need to know. The things that the buyer needs to know. Don't just be Zillow.
Yeah, well, and with Rocket buying Redfin, it's all going to an internet, big corporate model where that local detail to attention is going to be more important than ever, and that's our difference. So if you want a home, you can call Rocket and they do everything, but they're not there for you when you have bad problems. And we could have told you that, hey, that particular zip code historically has foundation problems
Hmm.
or has this, or you know what, up there in Frisco, they do get a lot of hail. Did you know that? And blah, 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 blah. So it's be a professional. If you're a realtor, lender, insurance, whatever, if you're someone who is trying to help a consumer, help them, give them some advice and study and learn what's going on. And just like sports, you got to be a student of the game. I'm trying to learn. I know when I don't know stuff. This deal that was texting me earlier on in our call, there's some stuff about it that I'm not 100% sure on. So I told him, I may or may not be the best one for you on this
Yeah.
particular deal. But I'm going to learn now so that I can do better. If this one doesn't work or our next client that has a similar situation. So, but the experience matters. But just because you've been in the industry for 20 years and only sold 12 homes, that doesn't count as experience.
Yeah.
So,
But
any final thoughts for you? I'm ready to wrap it up.
no, I think that, I mean, we touched on some good stuff here. I mean, the big thing is obviously we're getting into kind of the good time for
Hot season.
sports.
Yeah. Well, we're going
We
to
got
spring training this weekend.
yeah, you're taking on spring training. We got warm weather coming. You know, the sun stays out past 5, so that's always good.
Yep.
But yeah,
Let
we'll
me
get some bracket stuff out for everybody who listens. So the four of you guys pay attention.
So the people probably don't know, but you watch all the obscure baseball. So if you're watching anybody in spring training right now and you need me to bet on their next at bat while I'm out there, just let me know.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the guys with the 97, 98 numbers are going to get some at bats here in the next couple of weeks just to
Yeah,
fill some lineups out.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's not a great week for us to be going from our last few years. We try to make this an annual thing now, but we're meeting some friends and their kid only had this time because of school. So it's gonna be a nightmare. There's gonna be way more people and everything's gonna be a little bit more expensive because of spring break, but it's still gonna be fun. And we won't get to see all the starters probably. Those first 2 weeks of spring training is you got to be there first 2 weeks.
yeah, that's the moneymaker right there.
All
But
right.
all right,
Well,
well,
what's Drew Carey always says spade and neuter your cats or whatever
yeah,
after
don't
he
forget to
signs
spade and
off.
neuter your cats.
Yeah, I think our sign off is if something's broken in the house, make sure you don't ignore
Yeah, real catchy.
it. Yeah.
All right,
So,
well, we'll see you guys next week.
all right, good one.